Tesla fixed everything owners complained about. Tesla finally did it. Quieter cabin, smoother ride, a real interior, one that doesn't feel like a rental car someone stripped for parts. They listened. They actually listened. So why are thousands of people canceling their orders? And why are some of Tesla's most loyal owners, people who've owned 2, 3, 4 Teslas, quietly walking away? Here's the thing about Tesla. They're very good at making you want the car. They're less good at telling you what it's actually like to live with one. Let's give Tesla their moment. Because what they did here is real. The new Model Y has a unified light bar across the front. Cleaner. More intentional. Less like a car designed by committee, more like one designed by someone with a point of view. Put the old and new side by side, the original looks dated almost immediately. But the exterior is just the opening act. Gone is the hard plastic dashboard. In its place, soft touch material, a new sliding center console, ambient lighting with actual color options, and the one that broke the internet among Tesla critics, ventilated front seats. Standard. Not a package. Not an upgrade. Standard. On a $45,000 car. The Germans have been charging you $4,000 for ventilated seats for 20 years. Tesla just included them and didn't make a speech about it. Then there's the ride. The previous Model Y was not a comfortable car. On anything other than a smooth highway, it felt skittery, nervous, like the suspension was having a disagreement with the road and losing. A lot of owners made peace with it. Some never did. The new version flows over bad pavement in a way the old one simply did not. Wind noise, tire roar. The specific fatigue of a highway hour that felt longer than it was. Tesla addressed all of it: acoustic glass, revised seals, deadening in the floor. The result isn't Lexus quiet, but it's quiet enough that you stop noticing. The Supercharger network is still the best in the business. And the long-range AWD version claims 320 miles on a single charge, which sounds like the end of range anxiety. It sounds like the end of range anxiety. Until you hit 75 miles an hour on an actual American highway in November. Let's talk about what happens when the brochure meets the road. That 320-mile range? Real-world drivers are consistently seeing something closer to 240 to 270 miles, maybe 280 on a perfect day, 65 miles per hour, flat terrain, mild weather. That's still good. That's legitimately good. But it's not 320. Winter makes it worse. Drop the temperature below freezing, run your heater, and that long-range model becomes a 190 to 210-mile car in practice. For anyone in the Midwest, the Northeast, the Mountain West, that's a real number you need to plan around. Charging. When it works, it's fast. V3 superchargers can push 250 kilowatts into the battery. 15 minutes gets you roughly 150 miles of range. That's genuinely fast. But not every supercharger location is a V3. Many are older, slower. Stalls get occupied. On a holiday weekend, you may wait. And the experience of sitting at a charging station for 25 minutes when you're used to a 2-minute gas stop is a psychological adjustment that many people underestimate until they've done it 20 times. Build quality. Tesla has improved. The panel gaps that became memes, the misaligned trim, the rattles out of the factory, Tesla has tightened those up considerably. But improved and consistent are two different things. Some cars come off the line beautifully. Others have issues. It's better than it was 3 years ago. It's not yet at the level of a Honda or Toyota. And at $45,000, that conversation is fair to have. Repairs. This is the one that sneaks up on people. If you have an accident in a Model Y, even a minor fender bender, the repair costs can be startling. What looks like a small repair can cascade into something much larger. And Tesla certified repair shops, while more numerous than before, are not on every corner. Insurance premiums for Tesla in America are, on average, 20 to 40% higher than comparable gas SUVs, depending on your state and your insurer. That monthly number matters when you're building a real ownership budget. Full self-driving has improved. On certain roads, in certain conditions, it's genuinely impressive. On others, it will do something that makes your stomach drop and your hands find the wheel before your brain processes why. When you buy FSD, you're not buying a feature. You're buying a front row seat to an unfinished product being finished on public roads. Whether that feels exciting or unsettling probably tells you something about whether this car is for you. None of this makes the car bad. Most of it makes the car complicated. Tesla's ads show you the car in golden hour light doing exactly what you want it to do. They don't show you the Tuesday in February when the range is low, the nearest supercharger has 2 stalls out of service, and you're doing math in your head. Here's what most reviews don't walk you through: the shape of a full year of ownership. If you own a home with a garage, the Model Y ownership experience is legitimately excellent. You install a level 2 home charger, roughly $500 to $800 including installation, and from that point forward, you wake up every morning with a full battery. No gas stations, no oil changes, no $80 fill-ups. Your monthly energy cost for driving is typically between $30 and $60. Compare that to a similarly priced gas SUV. Fuel alone runs most families $150 to $250 a month. The math, over 5 years, is not close. But now change one variable. You live in an apartment. You don't have a garage. You rely on public charging infrastructure. The experience transforms. Public level 2 chargers are slower, often adding only 15 to 25 miles of range per hour. Planning every charge becomes a task. A small task, but a daily one. And over time, the mental overhead of that task is something apartment dwellers consistently underreport until they're living inside it. Road trips. Tesla's trip planner is excellent. It integrates charging stops automatically and tells you how long each stop will be. For most American road trips, the extra charging time adds 30 to 50 minutes across a 400-mile journey. That's genuinely manageable. But the mindset shift is real. You don't just drive until you need gas and stop for 5 minutes. You plan ahead. You build charging into your route. For most people, it becomes second nature within a month. For some, and these are the people who end up in the forums at midnight, drafting trade-in inquiries, it never does. Not because the car is bad. Because the life didn't fit. Depreciation and resale. The picture here is shifting. Tesla Model Ys held value extraordinarily well for several years. That has changed. A series of aggressive price cuts compressed the used value of older models and created uncertainty in the resale market. The new Model Y's resale curve is unwritten, but anyone treating it as the investment it once appeared to be in 2021 and 2022 is working with outdated data. There's a version of this story that doesn't get told enough. The person who bought a Model Y in 2021 because they believed in something, not just in the car, but in the idea of it. The clean energy future. The end of the gas station. The sense of being early to something important. That person is now watching Tesla slash prices, watching their resale value compress, watching Elon Musk become a polarizing figure in a way that changes what it means to have his logo on your car. The car didn't change. The context around it did. And for some owners, that's the hardest thing to talk about. The honest comparison isn't Model Y versus a gas SUV. It's Model Y versus your specific life, your commute, your garage situation, your road trip frequency, your tolerance for planning, your budget for insurance. Get that match right and this car makes an enormous amount of sense. Get it wrong and the friction builds month by month, quietly, until it's very loud. Let's break this down by who's actually sitting across from this car. The commuter. If you drive 30 to 60 miles a day, you have a garage or dedicated parking with charging access, and you spend a meaningful portion of your monthly budget on gas, the Model Y is an easy yes. Lower fuel costs, lower maintenance, a cabin that's genuinely pleasant to spend an hour in daily. The math works. The experience works. This buyer wins clearly. The family buyer. The Model Y has real backseat room. Genuine cargo space. A frunk that adds usable storage. The optional third row is small, honestly more for children than adults, but it exists. For a family of 4 doing school runs, weekend trips, and grocery hauls from a home with charging, this car is a strong choice. And bathroom stops on road trips align with charging stops more naturally than you'd expect. The luxury buyer. If you're coming from BMW, Mercedes, or Audi and you're used to the tactile quality of those interiors, the feel of the controls, the experience of walking into a dealership where someone knows your name, the Model Y is going to ask you to reframe what luxury means. The tech is better. The software is better. The performance is shockingly strong. But some luxury buyers adapt completely and never look back. Others find themselves missing things they can't quite name. The weight of a door closing. The smell of leather that cost what leather should cost. The feeling of a dealership that feels like a ritual, not a waiting room. It sounds trivial. It isn't. Identity lives in those details. The first-time EV buyer. Go in with eyes open. The learning curve is real but short. Most people crack the charging routine within 2 weeks. If home charging access is solid and road trips are infrequent, the experience will likely be genuinely positive. If either one is complicated, starting with a hybrid might be the smarter bridge. The new Model Y is genuinely better. Not marginally better, meaningfully better. Tesla took 6 years of complaints, addressed the specific ones, and built a car that finally matches the price tag. But the reality of owning it, the charging logistics, the insurance premiums, the build quality variance, the gap between marketed range and real-world range, the autopilot promise versus autopilot present. That reality is more textured than the launch event makes it sound. In the right hands, in the right life, this might be the best value in the American SUV market right now. The total cost of ownership math, for the right buyer, is genuinely hard to argue with. But it's not for the apartment dweller without reliable public charging. It's not for the person driving 20,000 miles a year across routes without dense supercharger coverage. It's not for the buyer who values tactile refinement above software innovation. Here's the honest truth about the new Model Y. It's not just a car. It's a decision about what kind of future you're betting on, whether EV infrastructure will keep getting better, whether Tesla's software lead holds, whether the friction of charging is temporary or permanent. You're not buying a vehicle. You're buying an argument about where transportation is going and hoping you're on the right side of it. For the right person, in the right life, that argument is already won. For everyone else, there's no shame in waiting. I want to know one specific thing from you. Not whether you like Tesla. Not whether you like Elon Musk. If charging at home were completely solved overnight, free, effortless, would you still hesitate? Because your answer to that question tells you more about whether this car is right for you than any spec sheet will. Drop it below. I'll be in the comments. And if you've been living with a Model Y, old or new, tell me what they're still not telling people, because that's the video I'll make next.